Hey guys, Texas Garden Guy here, and we are currently at STAR
Wetland Plant Farm.
Wetland Plant Farm with Mary Carroll, and I've driven by here a couple times, but y'all do special openings like once a month or so for sales and stuff. So can you give us a little background and how y'all got started?
Yes, sure. We're a wholesale nursery, but like you said, we open once a month, usually once a month to the public so that they can come and get native aquatic plants. Most of our sales go to like county projects, parks, and that sort of thing. The first thing to know is that everything here is sourced locally. Everything is native to this area. You know, you can be sure that you're getting a pickerel that is genetically adapted to this location.
That's so cool because I know a lot of people are getting into native plants, and the term native Texas plant is such a broad term because our state is so large. Like an Esperanza could be a native Texas plant. Are they growing wild in Houston? Probably not, but like
Right.
these are local Texas native plants.
Yeah, that's true. And then sometimes people need the plants that we're growing in other locations. And so I just got back from shipping to Austin. But what would be great would be if there was a grower who was sourcing all the native plants in that area, the hill country area, so that they would have the benefits of their native plants. The industry is coming along.
Oh, very much so. I've noticed a lot of native nursery. You saw it at the expo. There's a bunch of native nurseries now, and especially like with acclimation going from here to the hill country. I mean, some of these plants, are used to the swampy, humid area, and they're going to drier climates and stuff. So it's really interesting. But let's walk around and check out the nursery. I'm really interested to see more and see how this operates.
Yeah, let me show you. Okay, so some of the tanks that you see are for shallow water. They're just framed out 2x4s with a tarp over them. And those are for plants that can take drying out some. Those are ones you might see in a wet prairie or in ditch that is totally dry. Those are ones you can use for rain gardens, bioswales, prairie settings, so forth. And then there's another kind of tank that's deeper. And so the plants that are in those tanks are ones that need more water. We could have these laid out just on a ground cloth or something like that, but we'd have to water them all the time. We'd have to have an irrigation system on them all the time. This way we don't. And so even ones like the Texas coneflower, like this one's about to start blooming, but it's basically like big old black-eyed Susan.
Right.
Can live in a really, really dry setting once it gets established. But it can also live in a couple inches of water like this, just happily. So
that is so
the
cool.
way we keep them.
So that's not technically an aquatic plant, the coneflower.
Right. Yeah. These are, I would say they're wetland adjacent.
Okay.
Because they're like literally on the sides of wetlands or in areas that can be, a little bit more damp. If you've ever had to walk through a field after a rain, it is like a wetland, right?
Absolutely.
So everything that's growing there has to be adapted to being in water sometimes and being in bone dry soil sometimes.
Absolutely.
These are an iris. They are it's Iris brevicollis or zigzag iris, and they're native to this area. These are probably sourced in Dickinson or Friendswood, and they're a smaller iris, the first thing to bloom in the spring. The flower is only about this tall and dark purple.
That's so cool.
So it's a really nice.
So stuff like this, is it getting harvested, potted, and then brought here? Or are y'all propagating stuff here as well? Or how does the process work?
Yeah, both. Some species like this one are a little harder to start from seed. So we may go and be able to divide a clump. Now we have a lot of them growing on the farm, so we'll just go and take what we need. And then others, like the coneflower again, are really easy to start from seed. So we'll grow those in the hoop house.
That's so cool.
This is a cottonwood tree.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the mama. And they just showed up in these pots. We actually weren't trying to propagate those for a change.
Oh, that's cool.
They're a beautiful tree, native here. When the wind blows, it sounds like raindrops.
Oh, I love that.
It's lovely. So
there's the farm dog. Every farm needs a dog.
I'll probably end up planting them on the farm.
That's beautiful for shade and everything like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that one's got a really nice old shape.
That's so cool looking. I like that. And that's a native.
Yeah.
Y'all are pretty much all native here. I mean,
all native.
All native. I love it.
We have one species here that grows east of the Mississippi, but we collected it in Clear Lake, so we've got it for some purposes.
That's awesome. Well, show us around. So let's see what you got.
Yeah.
I'll follow the leader.
Okay. I'm going to point this one out because it's blooming.
Yeah.
This is aquatic milkweed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's not the showiest milkweed. As you can see, it's got a real pale flower. but monarchs love it. And so people are really coming around at this one. It's easy to grow.
Well, and that's one of the things that I kind of have issues with. I usually grow the tropical milkweed like a lot of people, and so many people are against the tropical milkweed. Some of the native milkweeds are hard to grow. Like I've tried to grow like swamp milkweed and some of these other varieties, and it's just a pain. I don't know if it's the stratification or what's going on.
The name can be a little confusing. When you see it out in nature, which is not very far from here, I mean, ditches all around Brazoria County have got this plant. It tends to be close to the water, but you can put it in regular garden soil. And once you have to water it in to get established like anything, right? But then it's fine on its own. It's good to put in with other plants where it's a little bit, it gets a little scraggly, and the monarchs will find it and then it ends up just being a stick.
Y'all do
These
this
we
one?
started from seed. Yeah, we collected them, some on the farm, some other locations.
Does it require stratification overwintering, like for the seed to
If
germinate?
it's fresh, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Okay,
No.
okay. So if you buy it from the store, you might want to plant it over winter and then it'll bloom in the spring.
Yeah. If you buy it from the store and you don't know how long it's been on the shelf, you want to stratify.
That makes so much sense. Well, that explains why mine never took off. All right. So what we got here? What is this?
Switchgrass.
Switchgrass.
Yeah, this is one of the tall grass prairie staples. Switchgrass. And this is it's our local variety, but you can see that hybridizers and plant breeders have created like prairie sky and lots of cultivars that kind of accentuate maybe some of the more blue-green. I'm looking for one that, kind of like has more blue-green leaves, maybe like this, and then some with a little red tip and so forth, but they're all basically this species here. This one can stand in water, but it also can be in a pretty dry situation too.
Okay.
Yeah, so where I have it planted at home, I'm just using it like a clumping grass, kind of sculptural. Where people might put in something like pampas grass or miscanthus, you can use the switchgrass. And you kind of get the same sort of, tall clumping grass effect. It doesn't run, it just clumps.
Okay, cool. Okay, so it's not going to spread like wildfire like anything like that.
No.
That's really nice.
These scraggly guys, end of the season, are hibiscus. They're halberd leaf hibiscus.
Okay.
You can see they kind of have, I'm looking for an example. That right there, that sort of shape right there.
Like an arrowhead almost.
Yeah, like an arrowhead. Like a halberd, that's the weapon of war.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have a big white flower. Like a lot of our native hibiscuses, they have that white flower that's about this big with the purple center. And we're cutting these back, but soon, they're going to go totally dormant for the fall. And so they'll just be a stick. And the new growth will come back from the ground rather than the former stick itself.
And y'all don't cover these up over winter.
That's the great thing about these local native plants. We just never have to cover them for winter.
That's the beauty.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, now that we're getting more of these freezes, people are really focusing on trying to go more native.
Pick this one out. That the roots are not showing, but some of the other benefits, besides the flowers and the habitat, are that if you have erosion problems, these can help. If they're really, really bad, you're going to want to do some kind of engineering and erosion control class and everything. But then come back and plant these plants, and these roots are going to hold the soil in place.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. This is, wow. Great erosion control.
That is so neat. But do they need to be in like a wetter area or just need to be more frequently irrigated?
I would say they need to be, both. Either they're in a wetter area, like maybe if you got an air conditioner runoff area, that's in the sun or part sun, that would be a good place to plant these. Or if you just have reliable irrigation. And you can cut these back to the height that you want. They'll get tall, but every time you cut them back, these didn't get cut back this year until now, but they get a little bushier and they'll bloom again.
Are they easy to propagate?
The seeds are easy.
Oh, really?
All those hibiscus and okra and seeds like that, they just come right up. So we have a few more of these shallow tarps, but I'll take you around to the other tank.
Sure.
And while we're passing, this is our water lily pond, and it's got a lot of species that we put in just to kind of demonstrate what they look like when they're full grown. But it's doing what it wants to.
It's so nice.
We're constantly, we have to mow certain areas so they don't end up, those invasives don't end up dropping seeds into our plants. When I got this land, it was pretty much covered with invasives, and we've been chipping away and allowing the native things to come up. But as I'm looking around in this area, this is kind of a reforestation kind of area.
Yeah.
And little oaks and things are coming up in here and great stuff. When I was looking for the land, I saw a lot of places, this one here with these mature oak trees, and then there was a lot of open space and then a little bit of the bayou in the back. I thought that just wants to be a wetland farm, but it had no utilities at all. It had no fence. There were cows next door where there's a house right now. So it was extremely rural. And I convinced myself, you got to build a farm here rather than the nursery that was for sale down the road. I had some regrets at the time, but now I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were running the well off of solar for a long time until we expanded to the point where the pump wasn't powerful enough anymore. So
Yeah.
now we have utilities.
Wow.
Well, one, we have power. That's our one utility.
And I see the connexes, turn offices or turn like AC units or something like this. You can take a break in the middle of the summer.
Yes.
And a beautiful greenhouse
keeps us alive. Too. This is our barn here.
Wow.
Yeah, let's go see the greenhouse.
The infrastructure is nice. So y'all are, I mean, this is your nursery. This is not like a government, grant, or this is your nursery.
It's our nursery. We did get help from Capital Farm Credit and other, ways to get this whole thing off the ground. But we own it outright. We're not.
That's so cool. And how many people are usually here? Like whenever this is going,
between 4 and 6. Today we've got 3 because Fridays tend to be a little bit, smaller crew. The summer when we were doing a lot of deliveries, we were up to 12 people. Wow. Yeah.
So is this a greenhouse or is this just a shade structure?
It's a hoop house. It's got poly over the top. I meant to fix this before you came.
It's okay.
We need all the ventilation we can get. It's oriented so it gets the prevailing breeze, but the sides are open and the ends are open here.
This is a beautiful structure. Yeah. Did y'all do this custom or was this like a kit that y'all bought?
We had two companies worked on this. The main hoops were done by Roundhouse, which is based in Conroe.
Okay.
Roundhouse. And then we had a contractor come and do the end walls because, every farmer wants a different end wall. So that's totally custom.
Well, and I can speak from experience. The end walls are usually the biggest pain in the butt. The actual hoop is really easily when you start adding doors and stuff like that. It is a pain.
We don't have fans or anything like that, but that would be another level of complexity.
Y'all close this off fully in the wintertime?
We used to, but last winter we didn't, and we did fine. We were growing 8,000 little inland sea oats at that time for Herman Park, so I worried about them, but we just covered them when we had the worst of the freeze, and that was fine.
And it is getting colder and colder every year, it seems like.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right now, that seems like a good idea, right?
Yes. So this is where y'all start all your seeds, kind of give them a break in the shade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Make sure that we can give them the water that they want.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
And you get a nice crosswind going through, too.
Yeah. Pretty good ventilation. I haven't watered yet, but I wanted to show you that unlike a lot of nurseries, we've got solid trays under there. And usually, for most species, we don't have to fill them all the way up. It's just enough to catch a little moisture under there. That's enough. Yeah, these are aquatic milkweed. And right now, that's the only species we grow.
That is so neat. These are the little starts, huh?
Yeah.
And the seeds are really tiny, aren't they?
They're flat like potato chips, but they're not. I guess the seed part is small, but it's got this whole,
the husk.
Yeah, that's right. This is fragrant flat sedge. Why they call it fragrant, I don't know. Kind of missed an opportunity to get bumped up to 1 gallon, so it's gone to seed now. Some of the things we grow out for contract, the contracts don't happen exactly when the plants would like to be ready to bump up or go into the ground.
Yeah.
So they're still here. This is not, there's so many of those complainable
the nut
sedges.
sedge or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And deep-rooted sedge, but there's so many native sedges as well.
Wow. That's so cool looking. These are the seeds, huh?
Cool. Yeah.
Wow.
That's fragrant flat sedge. Now, this is spring spider lilies or Texas spider lilies. They make a bulb, and they're super slow growing. So even though they've got these vigorous roots here, they're probably like a green onion in diameter.
Yeah.
And they're almost 7 months old.
They have a fragrant, like a...
Oh, when they bloom, yeah.
Yes.
They do. They
Kinda
have
like
a big
those
white flower.
Yeah, yeah.
It smells so good.
Oh, that's cool.
at night. They need a couple years sitting there getting ready to bloom before you actually get that flower.
But you'll get the leaves and everything coming up.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
In the summer, they kind of go dormant. You won't really see them. So this wouldn't be great for a mass planting by itself, but if you mixed it in with other species in a low-lying area in the spring, you're going to have amazing display. And then here we have little button bushes and frog fruit over here. Some of them are blooming if you want to get pictures of them.
No, that's really
like a little
really
crown.
cool.
People walk over it all the time, and I've sold this to people who heard about the great benefits, and then when they get ready to plant it, they're like, wait, I just dug a hole. I dug it out of a hole to put this in. Here it is. The flower.
Wow.
Yeah. Is it in the Gomphrena family? I don't know. I think a Gomphrena is like an amaranth.
I think so.
I don't think this is at all that. It becomes a tree, though.
Does it really?
Yeah, so this is a baby. This little guy blooming, he's just sort of being precocious, right? But I can show you the trees outside.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe tree's not the right word. They're like 8 feet tall when they're full grown. And
it's like a moderate shrub or something like that's really neat.
You can train it as a little ornamental tree or just let it, sucker and spread. One great benefit of having those is pollinators, and they smell pretty good too.
Right.
This is a native grass called marsh cordgrass, and it's time to bump it up, but I'm just going to yank it out so you can see.
Vigorous growers.
Makes a really good green clump. The seed head, this is one blooming here, so it's pretty on its own right, but it's not Gulf Muley. A lot of people look at this and think it's Gulf Muley. Side by side, you can really tell the difference when they're grown. Nice blue-green, stays green in the winter, which is, one of its selling points for landscapes. Again, really good with erosion. It doesn't have to be in a salt marsh. It can be in a regular garden soil. I planted it in gardens, and it does just fine.
Yeah. I'm big on that.
Side of the road, You
found that rag on the side of the road?
Yeah, this has been a real scrappy
I'm the same way.
Company for a long time.
I'm the same exact way. I don't let cuttings go to waste. I don't let. I pulled over on the side of the road and picked stuff up, and I love structures like this. Like, people don't realize you can like make structures like this for your yard or your business or whatever out of cinder blocks. I mean, this is cinder blocks and
this is horse wire.
Yeah.
And 2x4s, some of which were used. So
that's nice.
That's staff.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would love to meet you.
Did this grow on its own right here?
We put it in there.
Yeah.
That's the culvert. We've got these drainage areas that were required by the county because technically these tanks here are impermeable. So, we have to manage the runoff.
Okay.
But we're only too happy to try to make them demonstration gardens.
That's awesome.
That was part of the plan anyways. These tanks here, these are deeper or can hold more water. So we put the plants that want more water in tanks like this. And these right here, we've got 4 that were made of recycled lumber.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a good idea, given that the land was so wet. When I first bought it, we had a really wet year, so I thought the tanks would be kind of sitting in mud all the time. That hasn't turned out to be true. When we did the expansion, I didn't use the recycled lumber for that, and that's just been fine. It's never flooded that much. They say during Harvey it didn't flood, but right there where Veronica's walking, it's a little bit higher. That's why we kind of oriented the building. These are Delta arrowheads recently potted up. They don't look like, your classic arrowhead shape, right? We've got several species, and those bulltongue over there are also not the arrowhead shape, but we do have some arrowheads. But they're all in the same family. Let's see. These are more mature. So they multiply. These are really great plants to put in a brand new pond because they drop a lot of seed and they provide some shelter for aquatic organisms. They're called Delta, one of the names is Delta duck potato. So waterfowl like this. Just about everything likes to nibble on this.
Oh yeah, it's good shelter for small fish and the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of little fish, each one of our tanks has got mosquito fish in it as well. So we appreciate what the dragonflies do, but to make sure that we have the mosquito control, we put the fish in.
So this is all stagnant. This is all stagnant water. There doesn't have to be any circulation.
No, it doesn't. It's very similar to what you find out in, this area naturally. We've got the slow-moving bayous. We've got the prairie potholes, which are basically wetlands that some of the time are cut off, so there's not a whole lot of movement or flow through there. Wow. So plants are used to having this kind of still water. and they're taking up nutrients. Some of these tanks are really clear. Oh, and drink from any of them? See right to the bottom. It's like looking into an aquarium.
Oh yeah, it's full of life too.
It's full of life, yeah. Most of the plants are growing in pots, which are in the tanks, but we are growing a few plants that are in the mud. We get more of the rhizomes just doing what they want, free range, and then we'll come back and collect them as needed. Few water lilies left. We shipped 1,200. Yeah, not quite that much, but that's what the order was. We still have some to propagate. We have turtles and possums and all kinds of critters.
These are so cool looking.
These are Native American lotus. What they do. They have that kind of water resistant leaf.
That is cool.
They're really pretty. You can eat them. Roots, you could saute up these young ones here. Let me see if I can get one. They're probably starting to make bulbs. It's a bunch of stringy roots. They make it's kind of sweet potato colored, small sweet potato. I don't feel any. Here's one. It's still like just a network of ropes under there.
Oh, I can imagine.
As the fall goes on, what is that? Yeah, so that's what they're looking like right now. But some of these longer stretches are going to start.
Oh, yeah, you said at the beginning of like a runner, like a new plant, huh?
Yeah, so they're all connected and all related in here.
Wow.
But they make those tubers towards the end of the summer when all the leaves are dying back, and you can fish those up and eat them. We haven't been growing these that long, so we're still kind of figuring out how to do it. But we've sold the bare root, like the little tuber like this has a little shoot that has the new plant. And when you plant that shoot needs to be sort of horizontal and up so that it can continue to grow out.
Right.
Yeah. So, and we've been propagating these from seed. We've got that down pretty well. It's just the timing of the root and planting the root in a pot and then getting that to customers. That part we're still learning about. Wow. You mentioned that this is forested. And really, I'd like it to be less forested. Right now, it's gotten to be very scrubby, but that is what we will restore as a tall grass prairie. We're 11 acres, and so we've got more.
Yeah, this is half of like what y'all have.
And that's where we'll collect seed and plant extras.
That's so beautiful. I love that. I love that.
Yes, as needed. We add the water.
Wow.
And not everything has to be filled up all the time. You can see there's a lot of open space. We have pickerel, a couple hundred of those, but...
Oh, that's a cool flower.
Yes.
Wow. It almost looks like a bromeliad flower almost.
Oh, I guess it does, right?
Yeah,
some colors too, right?
Wow, that is beautiful.
Sometimes you see bumblebees on them. They really love them. It can grow in about 18 inches of water. I would plant it in less and then just let it find its way out. It'd be like this tall, maybe that much water. It's another good one. This particular one's not showing.
But crazy roots, huh?
Possibilities.
Yeah.
One we talked about up there, the switchgrass. You asked about what kind of water it wanted. It has 17-foot roots. And measured, and so those will go way out down into the ground. But these will go out. They're more like lateral to kind of anchor the bank and to find their water and their nutrients out that way.
That is so neat.
Yeah. A lot of wetland plants do that. So these got cut back and they're a little bit, scraggly right now. And then they go brown in the winter mostly. That's just what they do.
Really cool.
And I think that winter wetlands are beautiful because there's so many different colors of like straw and brown. It's more subtle, but it's beautiful. I'll take you over to this location. I'm going to show you a totally submerged plant called Vallisneria americana. It's growing in this tank. Some of it is growing right in the gravel. And it's blooming. Look, gorgeous flower display, but very, very, very tiny.
Oh, wow.
See, it's on these little springy
I think I've lost a couple of lures on these before.
Oh, yeah. It's really good fish habitat.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, maybe not great for fishermen. But...
It's good for the fish, though.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
They're all connected by runners, and you can see they're a lot greener when you pull them up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is eelgrass, they call it, or turtle grass, or for some reason, wild celery is a name that keeps showing up on plant lists.
Huh. I wonder if that means you can eat it, or if celery kind of has that peppery smell, maybe? Let's see. Doesn't taste like celery.
It doesn't taste wild either, does it?
No, it tastes like grass.
There you have it.
I'm probably not going to die from poisoning from that. I think I should be okay.
I think these are in pots, but, you know, where they want to live, they're free-floating. Not actually free-floating. They're rooted, but easy to divide them because they can get free-floating and float off and then start another colony somewhere. Yeah, this is pondweed, which I think is a lousy name. This is a good habitat plant, and this is a flower there. So
oh, wow.
Minuscule, but, you know, for some little organism somewhere, that's a big deal.
So something's a food for something.
Yeah. It's good shade for fish, you know, in a pond. This is the bacopa I'm telling you about. This. I'm looking for flowers. Okay, here we go. The flowers are real different. See a little pinkish, whitish color. That
is so neat.
Yeah.
And what is this called?
It's Bacopa monieri, or coastal water hyssop.
Coastal water hyssop. So this is edible?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see.
We have a different species that tastes like lemon. What does that taste like?
Ooh. Got a little something at the end. It kind of tastes like a radish. It's like a radish flavor to it, kind of. But a little more mild. It's not like spicy like a radish.
It's supposed to be good for nerves and circulation.
Really?
I'm not sure exactly what, but cut grass is another one that's really good for erosion. People get this in the wrong place, and then they're unhappy about it. What's growing in here is southern naiad, which is another submerged aquatic plant, plus something else, and good fish habitat. Good for water quality too.
Oh yeah.
But again, it's hard to go fishing in it. Like I said, we grow a lot of plants for county projects, and you know, that project where we had 35,000.
I saw.
We made sure they didn't have weeds, but we didn't groom every last thing out of them because they didn't have to look like they were gonna be
with that many plants.
Home Depot or something.
Right.
You know? So yeah, we can be a little bit tough with them. This one's called cut grass for a reason. If you run your hand that way, it'll cut you. A lot of grasses are like that. This one's also called cut grass. Southern cut grass. No relation. This is one of those goofy common name things. Y'all, I want to introduce you to Dustin.
Hi.
Well done.
This is Lorena, Rosario.
Hello.
And Veronica.
Nice to meet y'all.
Yeah, today we're taking out this water clover.
Clover.
That's a you know, this is a fine wetland plant, but we just don't need it overtaking.
Right.
Yeah. This, it looks like 4-leaf clover. You can find one that's not there. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's actually a fern.
Oh, really?
It's an aquatic fern. Some people are just happy to have a bunch of different species in the plant. They're focused on getting diversity in their garden. Other people don't want that.
Right.
They don't want a whole bunch of exuberance.
Right. But biodiversity is the best way, though.
Yeah.
Seems like.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow.
Okay, let's see what else we've got. More rushes, lots of open space. There's another hibiscus relative I'm going to tell you about, but
oh, cool.
For now, since we're here, this is sugarcane plumegrass.
Sugarcane plumegrass.
Yeah, the species name is Saccharum giganteum.
Giganteum.
Yeah, right. However you want to pronounce your last
big
name.
Sugar grass is what it translates to pretty much.
And it's related to sugarcane, but a long way. And I don't know if you want to taste this one, but I've heard it's not very sweet. This is something else. This is marsh fleabane. So this is an example of how some people are like, oh yeah, I want this one with the marsh fleabane in with the grass.
Oh.
And so, you know.
They can kind of coexist?
They can coexist, yeah. So I left a couple of those, but mostly, you know, when we give plants to people, it's the one species in the pot. These guys are salt marshmallow.
Wow, it looks like a buttercup almost.
Yeah. Here's the seed pod. You can see if you look at that real close, that's a hibiscus. You know, all the family has that kind of pod, and super easy to get the seeds started. Open it up. There's one that just rolled in my hand. They're in those little capsules. And so once you buy one, you can get your own population going.
Wow.
Seeds were collected here, like not very far between us and Froberg's.
Yeah.
Galveston County, all kinds of places nearby. Yeah. There's a variety with white flowers that is, available, but I haven't seen that in nature. I'm still looking.
And this is the salt marshmallow. It's the pink.
Yeah, this is salt marshmallow.
And the halbert is the white. Was the white up front?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this one, it's not called hibiscus, or its family or its genus is not hibiscus. It's Kosteletskia.
Oh, really?
Right. I know. So they're cousins. This is like the Polish cousin, I guess. Very similarly in that, the stems are going to die back. If you cut it back, it'll branch out and bloom again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's just, the whole pond is blooming. Like, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
This one wasn't on our big order, so you still see the tank full, but like other plants, other tanks, so many of those plants went to the other orders. And it's really nice to see that shift from that detention basin that just is mowed right to the edge and dyed water or whatever, to something that's more natural with planting around the edge. Brings the birds and it brings the life, and it's a lot more interesting and really very needed because we're losing those kind of spaces naturally.
Yeah.
So if we can recreate those, then it's just a benefit. We've seen all kinds of turtles, snapping turtles, snakes. None of them are venomous, but we've seen various kind of water snakes, broad-banded and plain-bellied water snakes. We're at another one of these
wow,
shallow
that's
tanks.
beautiful.
That's a rain lily. That's a showy rain lily.
Wow.
They bloom in the summer after a big rain. It could be in a flower bed. You'll see it on the side of the road after rain. You see the yellow flowers, right? And sometimes they're growing in really harsh looking, locations. Very challenging, and they managed to do it. This is a soil mix, and up close it doesn't look that mixed, right? But basically it's a native topsoil mixed with compost.
Okay.
Yeah, so
kind of sandy too, huh?
Yeah, this particular lot is sandy. I think this is going to be fine. So we have 2 parts of the topsoil and 1 part of the compost. Pretty heavy soil, but ideal for wetland plants that are growing in basically organic soils with a lot of clay underneath. We have a tractor that mixes it, and so some of it needs to be a little bit more homogeneous, but that's okay. It's kind of like nature too. So the barn will be here, and then the greenhouse will be there. This will be the barn with bathrooms and potting area and storage in here. We go through this probably every month and a half. We start with 12 yards of topsoil and 6 yards of compost. So that 18 yards usually lasts a month and a half or 2 months, for doing other stuff.
You're going through it pretty quick.
We are going through it pretty quick. Yeah.
That's a good thing, though. If you're going through a lot of soil, it's a good thing. That means money in the pocket usually.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. There is a lot of sand this time, and it's one of the things that I kind of like to get a little bit more consistent with is the topsoil component, because that's so important.
Yeah.
Until we're able to use some of our own topsoil, I have to buy it, and we've gone through a couple different companies. Sometimes it's more seedy than others. Yeah, and that's not good. It's ironic that we're covering it with tanks and then we're bringing in soil, but this is the system.
Mary Carol, thank you so much for having us out here at Green Star Wetland Nursery. This has been so much fun to see all these native plants and see how y'all grow them. And real quick, let everybody know where they can find y'all and when y'all are open to the public.
Yeah, we're west of Alvin. We're about 30 miles south of Houston, maybe 45 minutes drive tops. Halfway between Houston and the beach. We're out in the country. We're open usually once a month to the public. We're on Instagram, so you can catch up with us on the website as well. Find out our open days. We're happy to show you around. Hopefully you'll see some of the wildlife that Destin saw and some of the plant. It's headed into fall, and wetland plants, a lot of them go through kind of the same experience that the trees do. So you'll start seeing some fall colors, and then in time, leaves dropping. It's a really good time to plant.
Well, thank you so
much.
Thank you for having me here.
I'm really glad to show you around. Appreciate your interest.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it so much. We'll have to come back out here, and maybe we'll have to schedule something, and maybe I'll come out here and we'll have everybody come out and do like a little meetup kind of thing. It'd be nice.
Yes, let's do it.
Sounds good. All right. Thank y'all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.